So, I was told that I needed to start making, like, a video journal. And I want to tell you guys about my life. I'm alone, family-wise. Been through a lot that's brought me to where in life I've realized that this is really hard life, and trials and tribulations that I went through where I'm at I'm not happy with. Because when I was younger I wanted to always think that there was always an escape route, like, oh, I can get out of this, ain't nothing, but I couldn't get out of it. So the reason I'm doing these videos is because I want to draw attention to the DCBS in Madison County, Kentucky. And I really need your guys' help to draw the attention to us, because the cases here in Kentucky are like, you know how, like, on the Medea movie, the lawyer trumped charges on the case from past cases and things like that to give the person more time for jail. That is kind of like how they do here, but they don't take it from, I don't think they take it from other, like, cases, but they do lie and trump charges on you that they substantiate you with in family court that won't get you your kids back no matter how hard you try. The social services here, no matter what you do or how good you do, they're just not going to give you your kids back. 90% of the kids here in the Commonwealth end up in foster care, and they never get to come back home to their parents, even if their parents are being cooperative and compliant with the prevention plan. So I'm going to tell you a story about my life and how I got to where I'm at. So when I was young, my mom was on drugs. So was my father. And when I got older, seeing my mother do drugs, my mother's adopted. And my grandmother, who adopted her, really didn't want a girl. She wanted a boy. But my papa wanted her. So my papa adopted her and they took her in. But my grandmother wasn't really affectionate on love. I don't think my papa was either, but my papa showed love more than my grandmother did. And so my mom hired a private attorney and to look for her biological mother, which my mother found out that her biological mother didn't want my mother. She was an accident. She had cheated on her husband while he was sent off to the army, and was able to have my mother and was able to send her off for adoption, and she never told her husband about it. The detective also found out that my mother had brothers and sisters, and that my mother's father did not know anything about her. My mother's name was Sherry McQueen, and she was adopted in Lexington, Fayette County, and I believe this woman lives in Fayette County. And my mother is dead now because of what that woman said. Put my mother in a mindset that she was not loved, even though she was loved by many. So my mom, when she found all that out, after this woman told the private detective this, the private detective told my mother, and at 4 years old, I watched, or actually at 6 years old, I won't say 4, I was probably around 6, I watched my mother put a gun to her head at 4 years old because her real mother didn't want her, and she didn't think her foster mother wanted her, and my mother just didn't feel love. So my mother got on drugs. My sister took me in and raised me for a very long time, but I was a mama's girl. And I loved my mother, even if she was on drugs. That woman was my best friend in this whole world to this day. So I got on drugs later on in years, watching my mother doing drugs. My mom said she would rather me do drugs, her drugs with her, which was just Lortabs and Percocets. And so I did those with her for years, which caused me to be on drugs myself as I got older. And it really, once you're in that, you know what I'm saying, you learn, on your own. Like, you learn on your own what type of drug is what you can do. I mean, you just get street smart. We all know it. Let's just keep it real. We all know that when a person or a child is involved in that life, they get street smart. I mean, I knew how to sell drugs before I got in middle school. Social services didn't come take me. And I'm here. And I'm sober. I'm in college. And I'm doing things with my life. But that didn't stop social services coming in my house and taking my child from me because my mother was on drugs. Not because I was. Because my mother was. I was 16 years old. I had quit drugs when I got pregnant with my son. But because my mother was still doing her drugs, she wasn't out shopping for drugs off the street. She did her own drugs, her own prescription. So, after all that, I got homeless. I wasn't able to take care of my twins that I was pregnant with. Which their names are Lexi and Caitlin, and they're with a great foster family. And I gave, my twins up and my son Dalen. I gave them up willingly because I was homeless. I didn't have a job. I didn't have nowhere to go. I didn't have any family. I had no help. And I didn't know what I was doing. Later on, I met this guy. His name was William Wilson. He was 31 and I was he was 30, either 30 or 31, and I was 21. I had met him, and we had gotten together, and I had 2 kids by him. One name's Rebecca Wilson, and the other one is Mackenzie, which, I took care of them for 6 years. I was a stay-at-home mother. I was a stay-at-home mom. I just stayed at home. I didn't go anywhere, y'all. And we fought a lot because he would never want to spend time with me. Why, I don't know. But, never did. So, he cheated on me with my supposedly best friend. Her name's Destiny Means. I'm sure some of you people in Madison County, if y'all watch this, I know you know who she is. But he put me and our kids out of the house that night at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he chose her over me. So I left, and I took our kids and my son, and I went and got us our own place, and I was working a job and everything. I had received a knock on my door, and it was social services. This was probably about 6 months after I left him. Now, granted, you guys, I'm sober. I'm not even gonna lie, I smoked a little weed. That was it. My kids didn't even know what weed was, honey. Let me tell you. So that's how much my kids knew about me, and what I do in my private time. You know what I'm saying? My kids was never exposed to drugs. I was sober when I had my kids other than smoking some weed, y'all. That was it. So I get a knock on my door and it's social services, and they say that they got a call saying that my kids were dirty, didn't have clothes, wasn't being fed, blah, blah, blah. They come in, they do a home visit. She searches the rooms. She goes in the kitchen, looks through the cabinets. She checks out their clothes, the kinds of clothes that I had for them. She just did an inspection. And she said if I didn't hear nothing from her by Tuesday, my case was closed, that my kids looked like they were well taken care of. And I told her they was. That I don't do anything wrong. I just literally sit here and go to work and come home, which is literally what I did. And so after that, a couple weeks passed by. That Tuesday goes by, I don't hear anything. I still didn't hear nothing. About another week that went by, so there's 3 weeks. Nothing. Out of nowhere, Destiny pops up at my house and she says, "Oh, Taylor, I miss you. Let's be friends. I'm so sorry for what I did to you." And I'm just gonna be honest, you guys. I'm a Pisces, and I have a soft heart, and I like to forgive people even though they've done me wrong. I like to hope that there's difference in them, that they really didn't mean what they did, and I always have hope and faith in them that they really mean what they say. So I brought her in. She worked at Kenwood. Kenwood is a nursing home. What do you have access to at a nursing home? Morphine, drugs, pills, all sorts. I just found this out recently. I knew she worked at Kenwood, but I had forgotten. I didn't even think to even put two and two together. So I'm just being honest with you guys, because the truth shall set you free, is what they say. And so she wanted to get high. And I'm not going to lie and say I didn't do the pills with her, because I did. I mean, it was 10 o'clock at night. My kids were in the bed, waiting for school the next morning. I literally had nothing to do, and I did them with her. Why, I don't know. I can't tell you why. At that time, I just trusted her not to do anything about it, not to turn me in. The very next morning, while she was still there, social services knock on my door and ask me if I can pass a drug test. Of course, I tell them yes. And instantly, like I am, freaking out, like on the inside, like, oh my God, what have I done? So, I went to do the drug test, and I failed for morphine and THC, which I took claim for the THC, but I've never done morphine a day in my life. I was your 80s drug addict. I never smoked weed and do a few Lord types and Percocets here and there. You know what I'm saying? I didn't search for it. I didn't go looking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like a social drug addict, I guess. If it was there, it was there. If it wasn't, it wasn't. I didn't look for it. So after I failed the drug test, they took my kids and they put them in the car. They gave me a prevention plan, which I completed. A 6-month prevention plan. And I completed it in 4 months and passed over 200 clean drug screens for them. And they continued to take my kids from me. So I went to a visit with my daughter, Becca, and I know how foster care places can be, and I'm not judging every foster care place, but I told my daughter about her body. Don't let nobody touch you here, down there, nothing. And my daughter, she didn't know nothing about her body except she washed it. I never taught my daughter about downstairs or what's on her chest. I never told her what those things were. My daughter only knew that her downstairs was called a cooter, and I let her call her that because she was so redneck. I thought it was funny the way she said it, and that may make me look like a bad mom saying that, but she was just redneck, and I loved it. But she told me she had a hoe down there, and I started going crazy, telling the social workers and calling the ombudsman, and I even told the foster mother that my daughter had told me Bowen touched her down there. Bowen is the foster mother's biological son. So they blamed it on my son and sent him away. I'm not saying my son probably didn't do it. I don't know, because I wasn't there to protect my children. All I do know is it states in the paperwork that this never happened when they were with me. So after I started throwing a fit about what Becca told me, and she told my sister, she even told me she had a hoe down there. What 4-year-old child knows they have a I have some down there. It's been the worst 4 years of my life without my babies. And I have fought and I have tried, but I'm so poor and I cannot afford an attorney that will fight for me. So I'm using this YouTube stuff as a way to get my story out there for somebody to please hear me. I did not deserve what happened to me. I done everything they asked, and when I started throwing a fit about my doctor being touched, they took my visitations away from me. They substantiated charges on me throughout my report that isn't true, that I have police officers who are willing to testify that these assumptions that they are accusing me of is not true. But they won't call them into court. They won't ask for witnesses. They won't put my kids with my family, and now my kids are adopted out. 2 of them. And then they told me in court this last time that I could either sign over my daughters and fight for my son, Jaden, who they completely screwed up. You know, they screwed up all my kids. Like, my kids were fine where they was. I mean, I just need your guys' help. I can't get my story out there if you guys don't share it. I know there's going to be haters. They're going to comment bad things about me, but I know what kind of mother I was. And I know I didn't deserve what I got. And I know there's a lie in my case. And I know that they lied on me and they've done something very illegal in my case. And my kids are suffering for it, and so am I. What court system tells you that if you don't sign your kids over, you'll lose all 3 of them? And then when they tell you that you can sign your daughters over and get 120 days with your son, they tell you then that doesn't mean you're going to get your son back. That just means you have 120 more days to try. I have literally had social workers since I was 16 years old, and I am 32, and I am tired of being picked on because I am a poor woman. Being poor don't got a damn thing to do with raising my babies. Because I got love for them babies. That is my babies. And I miss my babies. And I've got more pictures. There is so much more to my story, and it gets so much deeper. I just don't think I can fit it all in one video. But this is just a test run to see if I can get my voice out there. I just recently watched a show called Lizzo's Big Girl Show, and at the end of it, she was saying, you know, you are beautiful and everybody wants to hear your story about where you come from. There's somebody out there who can please help me fight for my babies and prove that the social workers here are, I don't know what the word is, I'm not really good with big words and things like that. They are shady and they lie. They don't care get your babies back or not. My daughter, Becca, the one that got molested, she is an angry child. And when I had a case and I was seeing it, I just don't know if you guys know how hard it is to force your children to get into the car with somebody else. When they're sitting there and they're just saying, Mom, please just take me home, Mama, please. And you gotta tell them you can't. So I'm trying to ask you guys, if you will share my story, and I will post more videos about my story once I get my paperwork back from my counselor. She went through it and organized it for me. I'm trying to take this to the president or to the governor of Kentucky. People are trying to say you shouldn't do this because it's not going to get you your kids back. But if I can prove, because I have the proof, if I can just get to somebody who could do something about it, I can prove that they set me up. And then this stuff goes on, and other mothers are sitting here like I am and don't know what to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. And I hope you guys will enjoy more videos to come from me. Becca, Mackenzie, Jaden, I'm so sorry. But I'm trying and I'm coming for you guys, adopted or not. The world will help us get back together. The world will help us. And I want you to know that I'm with you no matter what. And one day you will see this. And I love you more than anything in this world. I love you all the way to the moon and back. And back again. And no matter what, you have my blood running through your body. I am there. Just know that I am there, you guys.